They say Hansel and Gretel is just a fairy tale, but what if the real story came from starvation, murder, and a witch who might have actually existed? Tonight we're digging into the grim truth behind one of the world's most famous childhood stories. Because Hansel and Gretel wasn't created to entertain children. It was a warning born from famine, abandoned kids, cannibalism, and a real woman accused of witchcraft who terrified an entire region. Some of these details were so dark, early storytellers erased them, and we're bringing them back. Most people know the surface version. 2 kids, a dark forest, a witch. But the real roots go back to the Great Famine of 1315. A nightmare that wiped out millions across Europe. Families were starving, food vanished, parents abandoned their kids in forests because they couldn't feed them. And yes, some turned to cannibalism just to survive. This wasn't a bedtime story. This was the world the Grimm Brothers were writing about. The original handwritten notes of the tale didn't hide it. Hansel and Gretel weren't wandering for fun. They were left to die by their own parents. And the witch? She wasn't just some random villain. Scholars believe she was inspired by a real woman who lived deep in the woods, accused of horrific acts. But here's where things get messy. The Grimm brothers changed the story multiple times, not to protect children, but to protect adults from seeing how brutal the truth was. In early versions, the mother, not the stepmother, wanted the children gone, because in the real world, mothers actually did this during the famine. But as the Grimms prepared to publish, they had a problem. People didn't want to think parents could be this cruel. So the mother became a stepmother, and the true horrors were smoothed over. But what they couldn't hide was the witch. Because no matter how much they edited, the witch stayed a symbol of real European terror. The terror of starving children wandering into the hands of someone who saw them as food. Now let's talk about the figure everyone remembers, the witch. She wasn't just an old lady in a candy house. Her roots reach into centuries of folklore about forest witches, child eaters, and women who live beyond the village walls. One of the strongest inspirations was a real woman, Katharina Schraderin, a baker in the 1600s. She was accused of witchcraft after being framed by a rival baker. Villagers believed she baked too well, which led to rumors that she used human parts in her pastries. Her house was burned down with her inside. Scholars think her tragic death morphed into the grim legend. Her skill with pastry, the candy house, the village turning on her, the witch hunt, her violent end, the oven scene, and remember the trail of breadcrumbs? That wasn't cute. It was a nod to how abandoned children tried to find their way back home during the famine, sometimes leaving bits of food behind. The story comes from real people, real starvation, real violence, and real fear of women who lived alone. Women's society didn't understand. Hansel and Gretel stuck around because the fear it explored was universal. Parents feared losing their kids. Kids feared losing their parents. Everyone feared hunger. Even the candy house wasn't meant to be fun. It was temptation, desperation. It was the dream of starving children imagining impossible food in the forest. And the witch? She was the embodiment of a nightmare Europe knew too well. People who preyed on abandoned children during famines. This wasn't fantasy. These cases existed in medieval records. The Grimms collected these stories not to entertain, but to warn. And the warning was simple. The world is cruel. People are hungry. And sometimes the monsters aren't the ones hiding in the woods. They're the ones who raise you. And the iconic moment, Gretel pushes the witch into the oven. This wasn't just a twist. This was symbolic revenge for centuries of children who never got away. The oven represented death by fire during witch trials, famine, the destruction of the child-eater archetype, and the reclaiming of power by the powerless. The Grimm Brothers let Gretel deliver the final blow because the original folktale was a survival story told by children, about children. And in the oldest version, there's no treasure at the end, no happy reunion, no return to a loving family, just survival, because that was the only victory starving people could imagine. So what's the real meaning behind Hansel and Gretel? It's not a sweet story. It's a scar left behind by famine, a memory of abandoned children, a warning about strangers, a record of real witch hunts, and a reminder that fairy tales weren't meant to tuck kids into bed. They were meant to prepare them for a world where monsters were real. Watch the next video to uncover the truth behind another childhood story with a dark past.